I think I agree with Skip on that one. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Next 3 hours, Christine Leahy is joining me. Skip and Shannon were arguing about the Spurs, and for our radio audience, you didn't hear it, but what the Spurs are doing. Tony Parker's not playing well. Kawhi's out. Manu's 100. And they are having a really, really shockingly good season for all their issues. Christine, good to have you in today. So we're really close to the playoffs.
Yeah, and did you see who made the playoffs yesterday?
Let's talk about that. Thank you for setting me up, Christine. I would like to, there's no reason to be petty. I don't like petty people. I would like to congratulate Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City for clinching a playoff berth last night.
I sense sarcasm.
In game 81. By the way, they just clinched a spot. They didn't clinch a number 1 seed. They didn't clinch home court advantage.
Have you seen the West?
Yes.
Every team is like this.
I'll get to that in a second. In the easiest professional league in America to get to the playoffs, in their 81st game, they clinched a spot. Oklahoma City's tied for the 11th best record in the NBA, with a Hall of Famer, an All-Star, an MVP, and one of the few legit bigs in the league. But this is what's really interesting. Oklahoma City won as many games last year. Wait, what? What? They added 2 All-Stars from the East. One in his prime, Paul George. He was the best player on a playoff team. Melo was the best player on a bad team, and he'll be a Hall of Famer. And they didn't get even a game better? Here's also something that's not been discussed by the Westbrook sycophants, fanboys, and pom-pom wavers. Oklahoma City has been the healthiest team in the West. Their 4 best players all played 75 games or more. Houston's didn't, Golden State's didn't, San Antonio's didn't, Utah's didn't. It's interesting, isn't it? Only Toronto can make that claim in the entire league. But Toronto took advantage of all that health. They're the number 1 seed in the East. Oklahoma City added 2 All-Stars, one in their prime. The East was riddled with injuries. The West was riddled with injuries. And they're not a game better than last year. Think about Utah for a second. I'm glad Christine brought that up. Mm-hmm. Utah plays in the West. The West is better. I can't wait to watch the Western playoffs. Eastern playoffs, not as much. Utah lost Gordon Hayward. He was their best player before the season. Their second best player is Rudy Gobert. He missed 30 games. They traded their second to third best player, Rodney Hood. They're led by a rookie. And they finished above Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City's going to have 3 Hall of Famers. Westbrook's going to make the Hall. Melo drives me crazy, going to make the Hall. And Paul George has 6 years left in this NBA. 6 years. He's going to make the Hall of Fame.
You realize that seeds 4 through 8 are all within a game and a half of each other? So the difference between the 4th and 8th seed is a game and a half.
3 Hall of Famers. And it shouldn't be close. 3 Hall of Famers should not be clinching in any conference in game 81. Go look at the Utah Jazz. Lost their best player. Their second one missed a third of the season. Their third was traded. And they're led by a 19-year-old in the unbelievable West. Oklahoma City added 2 All-Stars. And by the way, the one guy that left, Victor Oladipo, have you noticed, will win Most Improved Player of the Year. He was 14 a game next to Westbrook in the backcourt. He is now an all-star. Am I a Westbrook hater or a Westbrook realist? I'll go with the latter. Let me shift to this. Pat Riley's writing a new book. He's actually not writing it. A writer is, but the book's about him, and he talks and they take notes, and it's Pat Riley's book. That's how it works. He now acknowledges LeBron, quote, did the right thing when he left Miami. Riley's quoted, this is a good one, says, my beautiful plan all came crashing down suddenly. The team in 10 years could have won 5-6 titles. But I get it. I get the whole chronicle of LeBron's life. While there may have been some carnage, he did the right thing. The book will be called The Soul of Basketball. Excited to read it. Every time LeBron leaves, anger, dismay, disloyal, guy's a bum. And every time he leaves, the team he leaves is inept an hour later. Of course he should have left Miami. They were old. Dwayne Wade was always hurt. So was Bosh. Think about this. In the last game LeBron played in Miami, think about this. Let this soak in. 4 players on the roster, 2 starters, never played in the league again. Battier, Birdman, Mike Miller, Ray Allen, Udonis Haslem, older, oldest, whatever word is older than oldest. I would argue the Miami Heat roster, when we look back 100 years from now, I won't be here, let's just say 20, at the weakest dynasties and mini dynasties ever, the Miami Heat will be the weakest roster to ever dominate the league for 4 to 5 years. It will be the weakest. Think about this. They had no center. There's never been a team that won titles with no center. It was 6'8" Joel Anthony, who didn't dominate college. They had no real size at all, to be honest. They were near the bottom of the NBA in rebounding. How about point guard? They had the goofy, completely limited Norris Cole or Mario Chalmers. Take your pick. They were atrocious at point guard. They had no center. They weren't particularly deep. They had a kid coach. And their 2 stars, Dwayne Wade and LeBron, were never a perfect fit. LeBron, to some degree, is just a bigger Dwayne Wade. And LeBron left, and Miami didn't even make the following year the playoffs in the East. LeBron carried this roster. If you compare this roster that LeBron was on in Miami to the Golden State dynasty, it's not even close. The Golden State dynasty is among the top 3 or 4 of all time. Magic, Lakers, Jordan's Bulls. I mean, Durant and Steph and Clay and Kerr and Draymond and coaching and system and defense. The Miami Heat had no center. They had no size. They were weak at point. They were old. In the end, they couldn't play defense. The 2 stars never worked really perfectly. And they had a kid coach who I like, but he was a kid coach. We're always mad at LeBron for leaving. But if you're an actor and you leave a movie and it bombs, you were right. If you leave a marriage and he goes totally sideways, you were right. If you leave a company and it erodes significantly, you were right. LeBron's always been right leaving Miami. It was never even arguable. When he left Cleveland the first time, he was right. They were inept. He left Miami. And by the way, Miami's well run. Mickey Arison a top 5 owner. Pat Riley's a top level GM, president. This is a well run organization. And they couldn't make the playoffs. Why do we celebrate mobility in America for everybody except LeBron? It's okay for baseball players to go. You're okay with NFL free agency and Ndamukong Suh's on another team. Yeah. Marcus Peters, another team. Yeah. LeBron leaves an old, beaten down mess. Boo. That guy's the worst. MLS celebrates stars coming over to Los Angeles from teams in Europe. We celebrate Silicon Valley youth, young, growing, evolving, ideas. We celebrate mobility everywhere in the world except LeBron. And now Pat Riley admitting, like Dan Gilbert, who got on his knees to get LeBron back, admitted, LeBron was right both times. Coming up next, I never believed it, I doubted it. I laughed at it. I mocked it. I think I was wrong. That's next. Been a long time coming. My wife complained about it. How come Tommy John doesn't have women's clothing, women's underwear? They now officially do.
So she doesn't have to steal yours anymore?
That's right, Christine. Women have had it just as bad, if not worse, than men, I'm told, according to the copy. I would not know that. But I wasn't an underwear guy because I didn't like it until Tommy John. And my wife started wearing it, the undershirts to bed. She's like, this stuff's amazing. Can you tell the guy who runs that company to do women's underwear? So I told him, and he listened. Of course, it'll be backed by the best pair she'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. The same patented designs, fabric technology that made Tommy John a household name, now women's underwear tees. Go to TommyJohn.com, code HERD. TommyJohn.com, code HERD for 20% off. Wife's never been happier.